Hey everybody, welcome back to your Pro Tools lesson. My name is McKay Tebbs, and today we're going to be working on Pro Tools Lesson 4 from the 110 book. We're going to be talking about the clips list and using the clips list, showing things in there, selecting things in there, doing batch rename in there. We're also going to be creating clip groups, talking about what they are and how to make them. We're going to be talking about clip looping, and at the end, we're going to get into edit playlists. So let's jump in. All right, so here's my Pro Tools session, and over here on the right side of the screen, I have my clips list. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. First of all, you have a sub menu here of options with show, select, sort by, and those are good to know. That's what we're going to use. You can also access that by right-clicking, and that will show you as well. But let's just start by selecting show. Right now I have audio checked, MIDI checked, groups, audio created, everything's checked. If I uncheck the audio, suddenly all my audio files disappear from the clips list. So anyway, if I check it, they will reappear. So that could be handy if I had other clips I wanted to show in there, like for example, instrument clips, MIDI clips, which I don't have any of right now, but that would be where they are. I could also come down here to select. I can select all the clips, or I could just select the unused clips, the ones that aren't being used in the session. I could also go to sort by, and I could, right now the default is sorted by the clip type and name, but you can modify that, and I could sort it by the length. So anyway, there's different ways to sort through it. There is also scrubbing, which is an important thing to know how to do. When you scrub, you're auditioning the clip before you bring it into your session on a track. So, rather than clicking it and then dragging it onto an empty track, which, you can do that. You do that right here. I'm gonna click and drag. Okay, now I can hear what's on that clip because I just dragged it in. But I could also just scrub by holding down the option, clicking on it and holding it down. And then I can decide, oh, that clip is useful to me. Yes, I do want it. Or that's the wrong clip. I don't need that one. I need to keep searching. So you can quickly search through the clips and audition them by scrubbing to get your right clip. Now, there are some keyboard shortcuts we need to learn to help us to navigate this clips list. And the first one is all about shift and command. We're going to hold down shift and command and do 1 on the numeric pad, 1. So shift command plus 1, shift command 2, shift command 4, shift command 1, shift command 2, shift command 4. So shift command 1 is audio clips. It will make them visible or it will take them away. Shift command 2 is for MIDI clips. At the moment, I don't have any MIDI clips in my session, so I can't show you those with shift command 2. But you use shift command 2 for MIDI clips. And then the other one is shift command 4, and that is for auto-created clips. What's an auto-created clip? That is when you do some editing and you edit something. Did you see how I edited? All of a sudden the clip list got bigger because I'm separating these clips over here, and every time I do, it gets bigger, and it's what naturally happens when you start editing. Pro Tools will automatically create new clips for your clip list. And so shift command 4 is what you do for those auto-created clips. So the other thing we're going to talk about today is clip grouping. And what happens with clip grouping is it's a way for you to take separated clips that aren't necessarily together and make them act together or as one. It's like putting them in a container, and then you can move that container around. So sometimes when you get editing, you have all these clips arranged in a different way, and the timing is important, right? You don't want to move a clip over, it'll be out of sync or out of time. So you want to keep them there. So with clip groups, you can group a group of clips together and they act as one. So you could drag them and drop them places, but it won't ruin the timing in between them. It will keep that the same. So let's get this clip over here. I am going to copy it and put it right there. Let's suppose this is dialogue, like somebody's speaking and then they have a couple of words that they kind of make a mistake on, or there's a dry spot. So I basically want to edit that part out in the middle. So I'm going to delete it. And right here, the timing's off. So I need to separate it and then drag this other one a little. So before you know it, you have a train of dialogue that's this long and all these little clips that are separated. So we can take these little clips and group them together. First of all, you have to select them. And then there's a keyboard command. It is Option Command G, G for group. Option Command is always for your clip groups. There's a bunch of other commands that you're going to be holding down. Option Command for your clip group stuff. Option Command G, and now I have grouped them together. Yes, it looks like I consolidated the tracks, but I didn't. When you consolidate the tracks, you group them together and they are just one track. These are still multiple separate tracks, but it looks consolidated. And for the moment, you can drag it around and it acts consolidated too. But you can ungroup those tracks by using Option Command U. And now those tracks are not grouped together. They are separate like they were before. So you see how this could be handy? Option Command G for grouping, Option Command U for ungrouping. I want to point out that every time you Option Command G, it's going to be doing this in your clips list. It's going to create a new group. Do you see how that's creating new groups? So if you ungroup a group and then you create a new group, you're just creating an extra group, and you ungroup and then you create a new group, you just created an extra group. So anyway, rather than having multiple of the same groups in there, you might choose to regroup what you have ungrouped. So you can group, then you can ungroup, and after you do that, you can then regroup by using R, Option Command R. And that is the command for regrouping. The last thing we're going to say about clip groups is that they have icons that represent them, so you can know what type of clip group there is. There's different types. An audio clip group is a clip group made up of audio tracks, and it gets the sideways Christmas tree or the audio signal file for an audio file, right? Like a waveform. The MIDI clip group gets the bowling ball picture, or it's supposed to be a MIDI pin. If you remember the old MIDI pins that had the pins in the middle. So that's what MIDI clip groups look like. A video clip group looks like a strip of film. And then sometimes you have clip groups of mixed clips, where you have audio clips, MIDI clips, and video clips, any combination of that. When that happens, you're going to get this black bar that means it's a mixed clip group. You can also separate clip groups. So when you do, you get the ripped piece of paper, and that means you have separated a clip group. So get used to identifying those different signs for clip groups. That is going to be a question on the Pro Tools test when you take it. So you're going to have to be able to know which clip group gets which sign. So the next thing we're going to talk about doing is looping. So it's possible to take any clip and to loop it. You can access looping by right-clicking and then looping. And the first thing you got to choose is the number of repetitions or the number of times it's going to loop. Let's pick 5. And now I have looped that clip 5 times. So that was cool. I could also get to looping by using the keyboard command Option Command L. So Option Command L is for looping clips. You can access this same small window to decide how many times you want it to loop, and then you can adjust it accordingly. So here I have 6. So what if I want to undo the looping that I just did? What could I do? I could come here to the right click menu and I could choose unloop. When you do that, you have a few options. You could cancel and then it's going to keep the loops. You could remove. Let's do that option first. Let's remove the looped clips, and then it goes back to just one clip. You could also do something called flatten. And when you flatten, it doesn't reduce the amount of clips, but it separates them on the clip line so that they are separate from each other. One more thing to know about looping, one more way to do it is there's this cool tool called the loop trim tool, and it's right up here. and you can right click over the trim and you can access it right there, loop trim. You can also hit the F6 key, and when I start hitting F6, my trim tool toggles between the three types of trim: standard, TCE, time compression expansion, and then this loop trim. So with this loop trim selected, I'm now going to hover over the end of the loop and drag it, and notice that every time I drag it, it loops. And you can always tell it's a looped clip because it has this curvy arrow at the bottom, the looped arrow, letting you know that it's been looped. So F6 and toggle your loop so that you can use the loop trim. Okay, one more thing to talk about today, and that is the edit playlist. And here in my session, I have all these different tracks. Have you ever noticed that next to every track, there is a drop-down arrow? And you can click it. And this is how you access the edit playlist. For example, this 11-track electric guitar, it only has one edit playlist. Let's go ahead and create a new one. And let's call this edit playlist. We'll call it Take 2. Okay, so now I have my track. It says Take 2, the name I just gave it. And if I come here, I have two options. I could get the electric guitar Take 1. Notice that when that happens, the clip reappears. There is a clip on this track, but if I use the playlist selector and I select Take 2, there's not a clip. That's because I haven't recorded it yet, right? This is Take 2. Let's say I might need a Take 3, so I'm going to go to New again. I'm going to put Take 3 in there, and now I have Take 3. All of a sudden, I have 3 different options of what clip is showing. What usually happens is you start recording somebody and they take a take and you're recording them, and they have one little mistake in there, or 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever. And then you're like, oh, we need to do that again, see if we can get a better take. And the first inclination is to create a new track. And on that new track, to take that next take. Or to take the next take after the first take on the same track, so they're not lined up in time, they're right after each other. So with these edit playlists, you can take those multiple takes on the same track, just on a different playlist of the track. So at the end of that, you can have all these different versions, these different takes of what you're doing, that you can decide which one of those you want to keep and you want to use. And then from there, you can edit them and consolidate them together if you want. But it's a great way to use your tracks and your clips to their full advantage without having to create more excessive amounts of tracks that you don't really need. You're just trying to get extra takes in there. All right, well, thank you for coming to the lesson today. That's it. That wraps it up for clips, and I will see you in the next video.